Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep under the hood of a BMW. We're going to unpack that incredibly complex mechanical symphony that makes driving one such an absolute thrill. We're going to break down exactly what's happening every single time you slide into the driver's seat. So, picture this for a second. You're sitting at a red light. It turns green, you press your foot down on the gas, and you immediately feel that visceral push right back into your seat, right? Your body physically registers that acceleration. But what's actually happening under there? What is that unseen, contained mechanical violence that triggers all that thrilling forward motion? Let's figure it out. To get to the bottom of it, we're going to look at four main things today. First, the four-stroke foundation. Then, how we create the power stroke. Next, we'll dive into BMW's signature technologies. And finally, we'll see how all that power meets the pavement.
All right, let's jump straight into part one, the four-stroke foundation, or what I like to call the hidden explosions.
Think about your regular morning commute for a minute. You might be casually sipping your coffee, perfectly comfortable. But literally just inches away from you, you're sitting on top of a highly engineered machine undergoing a violent, fiery internal combustion cycle. And get this, it's repeating thousands of times every single minute. Crazy, right? Now, this organized chaos basically relies on the engine breathing and, well, eating to create power. It happens in a rapid, continuous loop. First, fresh air gets pulled in through a filter. Second, the engine gets this super precise injection of fuel. Third, that mixture gets squeezed incredibly tight during the compression phase. Then comes step 4, the absolutely crucial one, the power stroke, the actual explosion. And finally, step 5, the burned gases are exhausted right out so the engine can take its next breath. Moving right along to part 2, creating the power stroke. Fuel, air, and fire. Okay, so the fundamental rule of combustion is undeniable. More oxygen allows more fuel to burn, and that produces more power. It's really that simple. If you want a bigger explosion, you absolutely need more air. And this is exactly where a turbocharger comes into play. It acts almost like a giant, powerful set of lungs, actively compressing and forcing way more oxygen into the engine block than it could ever possibly pull in on its own. So with all that extra oxygen packed in there, we have high-pressure direct injection. This sprays a highly precise, microscopic mist of gasoline straight into the cylinder. Then the piston rushes upward, compressing that mixture and winding up the energy potential like a super tight spring. The very instant the spark plug fires, boom, that controlled explosion violently forces the piston back down. And honestly, that exact downward thrust, that is what actually generates the engine's power.
All right, let's get to the really good stuff. Part 3, BMW's signature technologies, the secret sauce.
BMW takes this basic cycle we just talked about and layers in some really specific high-tech enhancements. And it starts with the twin-power turbo. By cleverly forcing that extra air into the engine, the engineers managed to do something that historically seemed kind of contradictory. They deliver this huge, thrilling boost of power exactly when you want it, but without ruining the fuel economy you actually rely on for everyday driving.
Next up is something called valvetronic. Think back to that breathing analogy we used earlier. Normally, engines just choke or open the main airway, the throttle, to control the air. But valvetronic fundamentally alters how deeply the engine's individual valves actually open and close. It is just a remarkably precise way to manage airflow.
Seriously, think about a standard engine for a second. It relies on a traditional throttle plate to control all that incoming air. It's kind of clunky. But then you have BMW's valvetronic, which controls the actual valve lift itself. This means the engine doesn't have to fight against a closed throttle plate at all. The result? You get immediate, incredibly crisp responsiveness the absolute second your foot touches the pedal. No hesitation.
Okay, now let's layer in a technology called double vanos. While valvetronic controls how deeply the valves open, double vanos controls exactly when they open and close. It's constantly adjusting the valve timing in real time. So whether you're just crawling along in bumper-to-bumper traffic or you're aggressively merging onto a highway, your performance and your torque are flawlessly optimized.
And we've got to mention where all this tech lives. It's often housed right inside BMW's legendary inline-six engines. Because of its sheer physical geometry, an inline-six literally cancels out its own vibrational forces. It's naturally smooth, it's perfectly balanced, and when you combine that inherent mechanical harmony with all the advanced tech we just covered, it creates an absolutely unparalleled driving experience. Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, Power Meets the Pavement. Let's look at the BMW 330i in action. Okay, put yourself behind the wheel of a 330i. In a fraction of a second, you press the accelerator, and instantly, the turbo forces a massive rush of air in. The engine's computer, the ECU, rapidly calculates the absolute perfect fuel mapping. The spark plugs ignite that highly pressurized mixture, forcing the pistons down, which rapidly spins the crankshaft. Then the transmission seamlessly routes all that rotational power straight to the wheels. The end result? Just incredibly smooth, powerful acceleration. Ultimately, what this all boils down to is that a BMW engine converts the energy in gasoline into mechanical motion. But the big takeaway for us today is how it does it. It takes that raw chemical energy and uses some seriously ingenious systems like the twin-power turbo, Valvetronic, and double vanos to refine that energy into the purest, most efficient mechanical motion possible. Over the decades, internal combustion has been refined into an absolute art form. So it really makes you wonder, as technology just keeps evolving at this crazy pace, what is the next frontier? How much more efficiency and how much more raw power can we truly squeeze out of this century-old foundation? It's definitely something to think about.